Welcome to I Am Well podcast. I am your host, Gemma, a nutritionist and mindset coach passionate about all things health and wellness. I'm going to take you on a journey to discovering what health means for you and how to create a life you love living. I'm on a mission to uplift those who feel overwhelmed with what it means to be healthy, reminding you, my listeners, that nutrition is only one aspect of health, and empower you to live your best life on your terms. Let's get to it. Hello everyone and welcome back to I Am Well podcast. Now, if you're new here, things are actually going to start to change a little. So the way I'm structuring the podcast is actually changing. I'm actually sending out 2 episodes a week now. I really wanted to divide it. I am a nutrition coach, but I also love talking about mindset, health as well. So my Mondays are now going to be my Mindset Mondays, and my Wednesdays are going to be my Wellness Wednesday talks. So in saying that, first things first, I'm just kind of wanting to start off with the housekeeping. I wanted to remind you all that I ran my first ever program back in July for Balance, and it was amazing. It was incredible. And the women got such incredible results that I'm definitely bringing it back in January next year. So January 2025, watch out. Keep on the lookout. I've literally just announced this today on the podcast. I was going back and forth between January, February, and March, and we have landed on a date now. So I'm really excited to announce that on the 18th of November, it actually opens up for you to join. So any women that are wanting to focus on balancing their health in my approach, where I use my fasting tools, my blood sugar level tools, and get the amazing results that the women did, it actually opens up on the 18th of November. And then we start officially on the 28th of Jan. But I'm not going to go into those details. So please, if you're interested, click on the link in the show notes below and you can find out more about that. So today's episode, today is technically our Mindset Mondays, right? So I really wanted to start off this series by diving into how to create boundaries, especially as a people pleaser. And the reason that I have so much knowledge around this and that I really want to talk about this is because I'm literally going through that journey myself. I am a renowned people pleaser. I love to make other people feel better, and I will do, and if that has to be me putting myself down in order to make them feel better, I will do that. And I acknowledged that, and I am now on the path of healing that part of me. So if you listened to last episode with Gabby, we actually dove into this a little bit. So it really inspired me to create today's episode around setting boundaries, but specifically for people pleasers. So in saying that, this amazing psychologist of mine, she actually introduced me to a book called Boundaries. And I did mention it on the last episode, but I forgot who the authors were. So I have done my research, which is literally me just going and grabbing my book. And I'm telling you the authors today. So the authors are Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend. And this book is incredible because it really highlights things. I'm a very analytical person sometimes. Like, I love to know the knowledge behind things. Hence why I'm really into fasting, because I understand the science behind it. I get when everyone kind of says you need to set boundaries, right? But I needed to know the science behind it. And I love the way he puts things in this book. So I do really recommend, if you're a newbie at trying to change yourself because we're all about change here, right? If you're listening to this podcast, you're all about trying to have that self-growth. And if you're a people pleaser like me, which maybe you are if you saw the title, setting boundaries is one of the hardest things for us to do. So I'm really going to talk about 3 boundary types that he explains in this book. There's more in this book. These are not the only ones, but these are ones that I think that are most popular and I really wanted to highlight today and talk about today. So, and I know for sure I'm definitely some of these. So compliance, let's start off there. Number one is compliance. These people, compliance are the people that just say yes to the bad. They say yes to things that are going to make their lives harder because they feel as though it's the easier option because they don't like letting people down. This can be things like your boss saying, could you do some extra work at the end of the day? Could you stay back later? Because we really, imagine your boss coming to you, you've been working 9 to 5 and your boss comes up to you and says, hey, I'm really smashed. The family needs me at the moment. I'm going to have to head off. Would you be able to work an extra hour tonight? So you're going to be working until 6. And you've got a family of your own. You've got to go home and you've got things to do yourself, but you see it as though you're not worthy enough. You see it as though, well, they must have it worse and this is my boss asking me. It's easier just to say yes. So you say yes to the bad. You say yes to things that make it harder for you in life. And I know, hand on heart, 100%, I have been there. And I'm sure many of the listeners have been there too. It's actually kind of a natural human instinct to do this because a human instinct is where we want to do things for others because we want to be a part of the group. That's how we've survived this long. So if we say yes to someone, we feel like then we've done well, we've done good, and we're going to be a part of their group, and that's going to help us survive. If you can realize that and can be more aware of that, then you can have the power to say no. Because what we need to realize also, especially if you're a mum listening to this, is what we're then teaching to our children. And this one really hit home for me. So if you're a mum who's listening to this, I feel like this is going to be the real turning point for you. Are you telling your children this as well? If let's say, I'm going to talk about my daughter, okay? If there was one of my friends that we were catching up with, and they came over and they were saying hi, they gave us all a hug and we gave them a hug back. And then my daughter comes up and they say, hi, Summer, how are you? Give me a hug. And then Summer doesn't want to. Summer's my daughter, by the way, if you didn't catch on. She doesn't want to hug them. And we say, come on, give them a hug. Go on, give them a hug. And I hate to say this, but I know I've been there. I know I've done this. And they're too shy. They're holding on to you. They don't want to give the hug. If we tell our children that, come on, that's rude. Give them a hug. Come on, don't be rude, Summer. Go and give them a hug. We're not letting them have power in their response. We're telling them that if they say no, that no is then bad. So then that when they grow up, they always have this fear around saying no, thinking that that makes them a bad person. And it makes it harder for them to be self-empowered, to understand that they have choices. And I think like my generation, we kind of grew up with that, and we're now only starting to be aware of it, and we're now only starting to talk about it, but not all of us are doing it. And I know for sure by habit, I have done that to my daughter as well. So I just feel like that definitely really hit home for me there when I read that. And I just feel like if you're a parent listening to this, you're just going to so relate. We don't want our children to grow up not feeling like they can't have their own response, that they can't feel empowered enough, safe enough to say no. And some of the reasons why we have compliance, so the people that say yes to the bad, is because they have fears of hurting others, fears of abandonment, wishing to be dependent on someone else as well. So sometimes people don't want to have that dependence because it's too scary. They don't want to make the choices. So instead they push that onto someone else, and they think that it's going to be easier and better for them if they make the decision. And then some other fears are like fears of being punished. You know, as a child, you want your parents to be proud of you. So if you say no, are you going to be punished? Fear of being shamed, of being seen as selfish. All of these fears play out for someone who's a compliant. The more you become aware of these situations, of these personality types, the more that you can pull yourself up on them, which is why I really wanted to go through them today. So the second one is an avoidant. So avoidants, they say no to the good. And hint, you can be both. So avoidants, they don't like letting people help them. So this is a classic example here. If you're going out for lunch and you're out with a friend and at the end of your meal, you both go up and your friend goes, here, I'll shout lunch today. And you go, no, I'll shout lunch. No, it's okay. No, I'll buy the lunch. And then you're both pushing each other, trying to fight for the ATM machine because you both want to pay. That is a classic example there of being an avoidant. If you don't let people help you and people love you, then you're not accepting the support that you deserve. And you do deserve the support. But the thing with this boundary type is that these people who are avoidants, they don't think they deserve it deep down. They're saying no to the good because they feel as though they don't deserve that support. They shouldn't have it. And as I said, you can be both. So you can be a compliant where you're saying yes to the bad situations, yes to putting yourself under more stress by staying back later for work. But then you can also be an avoidant by saying no to the good, not letting other people help you. So if you do say yes to staying back after work, but then one of your employees knows that you have a family at home and they don't, and they actually want the extra cash anyway, and they come up to you and say, hey, I'll stay back and you go home, go be with your family, like it's fine, I'll stay back. But you don't like accepting the help from other people. So your first instinct, this is where your subconscious mind comes in. Your first instinct is to say, no, I've got it. It's fine. Thank you so much. That's really nice of you to offer, but it's okay. They asked me. That's not letting someone help you. So that's where you're becoming an avoidant, and that's where you're going to get into issues. And it's going to affect you mentally overall. So the third one I want to talk about is controllers. And controllers, they don't respect other people's boundaries. Okay? So this is when people hear no, but it doesn't quite register in their brains. And I'm sure you might know some people like this in your life, where no means maybe and a maybe means yes. So they tend to project their personal life responsibilities onto other people. So what's going on for them and what they have to deal with, they somehow get it to make it seem like it's your problem. And this can sound quite aggressive, but this can also come out in ways that isn't so aggressive and you might not even realize. So this is where I'm going to go into the different types of a controller. So you've got an aggressive controller. So an aggressive controller is where they do run all over other people's boundaries. They don't care what your boundaries are. Not that even they don't care, it actually just doesn't even cross their mind. They just don't even register that you have a boundary in the first place. So they may be more verbal and they may be more physically abusive in this time too. Doesn't mean they are, but this might be the case, especially if they're an aggressive controller. But they're just not aware that other people have boundaries in the first place. I feel like this plays out a lot for narcissists. Narcissists, only 1% of narcissists actually know that they are a narcissist. So they can tend to be that aggressive controller. The other type of controller, though, is a manipulative controller. And this is where it can get tricky because your friends could be a manipulative controller and you might not even realize. And this is where they try to persuade people out of their boundaries. So you could, as we were talking about before, when people actually hear no, but it registers in their mind as a maybe. And then when they hear maybe, it registers in their mind as a yes. And it's not like they're meaning it. It's just subconsciously this is what happens. And especially when they project their issues onto you, a lot of friends can do this in manipulative ways without even realizing that they're doing it. So I'm not trying to say here that people who fall under this category are just assholes, because you don't know. It could be a very subconscious thing for them. So you might have a friend that is giving you all of their problems. They're just trauma dumping on you, you know? I feel like that's a huge thing now, right? It's trauma dumping. So they're just unloading everything that's happening in their lives onto you. And they're kind of like looking for you for a solution. That in some ways can be a manipulative controller. It's okay to talk to your friends and talk about these issues that you're having, but when you dump it on them and then you expect that they're going to help and support you, which you can help and support them, and there can be ways of that, but I mean that you make it their problem. That's where there's more of an issue. And that's where people on the other side of that who don't have these boundaries in place and can't say no, then they end up taking on those problems as their own. And the other person who's dumped them has just kind of, wiped their hands and walked away, and they're feeling much better because it's not technically their issue anymore. It's yours to solve. And it's like getting someone else to do your homework, like you've been assigned the task. You're freaking out thinking, how are you going to do this? I don't know any of this. And instead of trying to study, you give it to your partner and say, can you do all the work? And your partner says, yep. And then they hand in the assignment. It's kind of like that way, right? If you've got a problem, but it's completely stressing you out and you just feel like you cannot have the capacity to try to figure this out or try to even deal with this drama, you talk to your friend and you completely unload to them and say, can you fix this for me? Pretty much like that. And then you wipe your hands clean and go, not my problem, and walk away. Now, if you are listening to any of these and going, oh my God, I'm that, don't stress. That's a good thing. It means you're aware. It means you have the awareness. And awareness is key in this. Awareness means you're able to change. So compliance and avoidance can actually be controllers as well too. So you could be all three. They just tend to, a compliant and an avoidant, they just tend to be more of a manipulative controller rather than aggressive controller, because manipulative controllers, they're much less noticeable, because they're manipulative. But aggressive controllers, yeah, they're pretty much, you can see it for what it is, unless you're in a narcissistic relationship, and it can be hard to see in those circumstances. So if you're a people pleaser, right, the first thing to do is, and where I would start with all this information, like where do you go from here, is, well, first buy that book. Like that book is amazing and it's literally helped me so much. And I have no connection to the book. It doesn't bring me anything. So it's not like an ad here. I'm literally telling you, I got so much good information from it. But if you're a people pleaser, this is what I literally want you to go away and do. It's like your little homework from today's podcast episode. I actually want you to go away and find out why. So I invite you to do this task of where you ask yourself why 5 times. And I'm going to give you an example here, but I want you to listen to this example and then try to have it wash away over you. And then later on, go and do this in your own time, because I don't really want you to take the exact answers that I'm giving you, but I want to give an example so you can see how this can play out and work and really be beneficial into getting deeper within yourself and understanding and having that awareness. So maybe just after this episode, let it, go off, do other things, do other tasks that you had to get done, go to work, whatever it is, have dinner. And then maybe later that night, do this why task, this 5 reasons why, the 5 whys task that I'm going to give to you. So what you do is you start with, okay, I'm a people pleaser, right? So you write down, I'm a people pleaser. And then you put next to it, why? Okay, why are you a people pleaser? If I ask myself, why am I a people pleaser? Because I care about others. Okay, Why? That's your second why. Why? Why do you care about others? Well, because I'd rather help someone than hurt them. And honestly, that's an honest answer for me. Like, as a people pleaser, I always get so worried about hurting someone, rather than, like, I would so much rather to just help them than actually hurt them. Okay, third why. Why would you rather help someone than actually hurt them? Well, because for me, if I help them, I feel better. But if I hurt them, I end up feeling worse. I feel worse about myself and I hate on myself. Okay, that's your next why. Why, if you do something for someone else, why does their emotion then affect your emotion? So if you help someone and you feel better, but you hurt someone and you feel worse, why? Why is their emotion tied with yours? And then my answer would be, well, yeah, I guess because I attach my feelings to theirs. I attach my feelings to however they end up feeling, and I blame myself. And why do you do that? Because I don't believe in myself. Because I don't have that trust in myself. I don't love myself enough. And there's your answer. Okay, so this why task is incredible, because when you get to that answer, because I don't believe in myself, because I don't trust in myself, it really makes you think, okay, it's me. I'm the one. My lack of self-confidence, my lack of self-belief is the reason why I'm a people pleaser, is the reason why I can't set boundaries. So that's what you need to start focusing on. And my answers might have completely resonated with you, and you might be like, yeah, you might not even feel like you need to do the task, but I still highly recommend trying to do it yourself as well, just to see if you might get some different answers. But start there. Focus on the real why. If you're worried about hurting someone as well, remember that if you keep being a people pleaser, you could still hurt their feelings in that process. By not setting boundaries, you can still hurt people. And that is something that's like a light bulb moment, especially for me. Because if you're not allowing people to support you, to help you, if you're not reaching out to people and asking for help, they're not going to feel good enough. They're going to feel like something's wrong in the relationship, that no matter what they do, you still never want their help. And they're going to start blaming themselves, and it's going to be this vicious cycle. So do these 5 tasks of asking yourself why, and get to the real reason of where it is. And if it's that lack of confidence, that self-belief, like for me, when I figured out it was, then that's what we need to focus on. That's what we need to start working on. And you can do this through so many tools like affirmations, meditations, journal writing. We go into this a lot in Balance at the start of my course, because my course at the start is just all mindset. And I really get into you about asking these questions, because this even plays out for your health. Even if you want to I always lose weight as an example, but even if you want to lose weight and you are stuck and you are feeling like you're not losing weight, ask yourself why 5 times and you'll probably get to the answer. So I'm going to leave that here for today. It's been a really good first starting off the Mindset Mondays episode. And I really want you to take this away and really work on this yourselves. I believe in you guys. I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. And if you love this episode, please leave me a rating or review and send me a message if you want to reach out and let me know too.